I ordered the double cheeseburger and I got just a regular single cheeseburger. Now that's some double BS right there. Or rather it isn't, because I only got a single burger. Ugh.
What good timing. You clicked exactly the same time I hit the record button. How are you all doing? Liam All-Star here. Welcome to another episode of this version of reality. Liam All-Star here. How's everybody doing? Well, I'll just say right now, I'm doing pretty good, I guess. But I discovered something about myself tonight. Is that, unfortunately, I can't really use my Samsung phone's functions very well. You think that you know how to use technology, and then you find a feature which you don't know how to use. And especially at a time in the night and the time and what I was doing, I'll explain it to you, get right into the cup of the story to keep your attention before you start thinking there's something better out there to listen to. I mean, for Christ's sake, this guy, who is he? We just click play and it's like, no, let's get serious. No. So what happens, because I was at a gig and basically I scored a spot, you know, and I became a designated videographer for basically everyone, like not intentionally, and I was happy to do it, of course. But first guy handed me a phone, good old Keith. If you haven't met Keith, if you don't know who Keith is, well, he's got a show coming up. I mean, I was off this podcast on the 2nd of March, which is my birthday. I believe it's at the Pedo, you know. He has a show. You should go see him. He's a very interestingly funny dude. His brand of comedy is definitely unique, and you need to check him out. I just gave a plug to a fellow comedian. I hope someone's actually listening to this podcast. If not, then that was for nothing. Anyway, so Keith gives me the phone. His phone. iPhone, whatever. And, well, low battery, so I hit the record button and it stops recording. So then I hit record again and it stops, and then it gives me this signal like, oh, it's 10% battery, so you know. And I just figured at that point, you know what, screw it. So I started recording with my phone because I had plenty of charge. Always plan in advance, because I've had bad things happen to the phone where it's had low battery going into a gig, or, you know, something, you know, water behind my Gorilla Glass screen, which is set off the sensitivity, and, you know, hard to explain, but, you know, just trust me on that one. So, yeah, I recorded it via my mobile phone, and then when it was all said and done, it's like, oh, what's going on? It's like, I had to record it via my phone. Now, that wasn't the end of it, you know, and that's like, oh, boring part of the story. But what happened next was that a good mate, Scott, another comedian, you need to go check him out as well. He's on the open mic circuit as well. He's a great open mic comedian, and he just shifted over from iPhone to Samsung, so basically Apple to Android, basically. And he handed me the phone, you know, because we had a deal going in where it's like, you know, I'll record his set for him, and if he didn't mind, he'd record mine. So that was that, and that's what would happen, obviously, right? And, you know, not a problem. He's done it for me before, I've done it for him before. Now, what happened was, I mean, slightly new visual, you know, on the S8, a bit different to the S5, which I bought the S5 specifically because it had superior photo and a couple other things, you know, including expandable memory, to which the S6 did not. The expandable memory was removed in the S6. Had a lot to do with the sealed battery, I guess, and it was a controversial move, one which they fixed in the S7, but with regards to the phone's function and everything, it still had superior, you know, function with regards to, you know, megapixels and, you know, recording at a certain frame rate, etc. So that's why I bought the S5. Now the S8's out, and that one's superior to the S5. And it's got a brand new setup, obviously, one that hasn't been ported over to the S5. And I saw the lock screen, it's like, oh, bloody bugger. So it was locked, and he went on stage because, you know, it just went straight to the next act, and then next act, yeah, went straight for Keith, then Scott, and I was after Scott. So that's how rapid change this was going to be. So I panicked. It's like, well, no, I guess not so much a panic, but just scurried, I guess you could say. You know, I panicked without the panic emotion. Yeah, you know, quick, reacted on my feet. So I got my phone, and I was like, you know, screen's locked, record with my phone with my app for recording. And I downloaded a more advanced application to record the, you know, basically just video recording. And this one allegedly has functions which I can also connect my microphone, which I don't have on me right now. But the microphone is obviously very good on this. But for my Rode microphone that I use usually for my podcasts, the ones that I don't use, you know, on the drive home, like this one, by the way, if you couldn't tell, with the hiccups all of a sudden. This is another on the drive home edition. I've had quite a lot of these ones lately. I need to sit at home and actually get someone in and record. Anyway, I'm prattling on, get to the point. So, got the phone and thought on my feet, got the app, recorded with my application, which is separate from the phone's default one, has more settings, has, you know, a function where it basically, you know, it's separate from the phone function. So if you hit the power button, it's, you know, basically, you know, blank screen, but then you hit it again, it comes straight up with the camera function. Unless you hit the home function, then it goes back to default phone mode. And, you know, it's got other features as well. You can change the frame rate, you can change the, basically the resolution, a lot of other features on it as well that the default mobile app for video recording does not. So I use that, and then at the end it's like, you know, sorry, you know, your phone, it was locked. You know, afterwards I discovered that the little button in the corner for recording, now knowing that, you know, realizing that in the moment I completely, because I guess as well I don't use that function unless in emergencies, you know, if I've got to record something in an emergency, because it's got the video swipe up or the emergency calls swipe up on Samsung phones. Now, immediately it's like, you know, because I'm apologized, like, yeah, sorry, your phone locked and I couldn't get because I didn't know your password to unlock your phone or the fingerprint. And he swipes up on the camera app and I didn't realize that it was there. And then it was like, oh, doesn't your phone have it? And then I just realized, oh, crap, I forgot all about it. So there I was then, feeling like an idiot. For the first time in a long time that I felt stupid. And here at the same time, this is a guy who is new to Samsung. This is a guy who is now new, who's betrayed Apple to go to Samsung. And I have just basically ruined the experience of recording on his new Samsung S8. But not only that, because my phone's slightly inferior to the technology on his, the apps are a little different. So it took at least another 10, 15, maybe, at least trying to figure out how am I going to get it over to your phone. Obviously there's Wi-Fi, there's Bluetooth, there's this, that, but because the applications for each were a little different. I mean, they're compatible with each other, they can transfer to each other, but getting it to that point, I had to get pairing, visible, Bluetooth options, scan the device, send a photo. It was easy for him to send a picture to me straight away, but me sending it to him, because I had to do just a little more to get to him. I guess they've simplified it in the new, model. They probably changed the apps. Great selling point. If I was selling Samsung to good old Scott, I think that with that whole experience, he's probably going to crawl on his hands and knees back to Apple. Go, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh, God. Please take me back, Apple. Please. I'll do anything. I'll throw my Samsung in the river. If that's not good enough. No. I'll smash it with a hammer. No, is that not good enough? What about that guy that baked it in Coca-Cola? I'll do that. No, wait. I'll do all three. I'll do it all. I'll do everything. Everything you want. Anything. Yeah. So basically an experience. I was the videographer for the night. Captured it. And it was a pretty good night. A gig that I wasn't expecting to get, but I was fortunate enough to be put on by Bud. And, I thanked him, helped and everything, spoke to a few of the comedians, and one of the comedians who was the MC the week before, Mel Buttle, didn't get a chance to speak to her the week before, but spoke to her this week. She stuck around for a bit, and with my new routine, she reiterated what she said at the end of my set, that she liked the stuff that I did at the end. If you want to hear that routine, you got to come along to a gig. I am still putting it through the circuit, and it is surviving the circuit. It's one of the first routines that I've had in a while that I'm happy enough to continue through the circuit, through any audience, because the one thing that I do, and the one thing that I discussed, is that, and I believe I even touched on this last week, I like to test, the better gauge that I have is with a bad audience. I like to see how my routines do with bad audiences more than a good audience, because a good audience will give it to you if they're there and they're ready for a comedy show. Of course, it's not hard to make them laugh, but I want to deal with people that are probably just as cynical as I am, maybe just as tired as I might be because I lack a bit of sleep. That's another thing. This whole weekend has been about scoring gigs, as of this podcast, which in the sequence of order is probably out of order, but who cares? I mean, actual chronological order be damned. You're listening to me anyway because I guess you're bored enough to want to hear exactly what I'm saying. Tune-up gig that I scored a gig the night before, and similar circumstances, where I was fortunate enough to get a spot, and it was not the best audience, when there's a comedy audience there. And that night, because it's a karaoke bar, they were more there. I think they were there waiting for the karaoke. They were there to, most of them stayed, some of them left. But I had the benefit of the whole audience being there in the beginning and stay for the comedy, but they were really there for something else. You get that audience that's there for another purpose. Like in certain gigs, they're not there for the comedy, they're there because they want you to make them laugh. And they're the tough ones to impress. They are tough to impress. And the reason for that is simple. Because they are in the mindset, the mood that they are in. And because of that, you've got to change. You basically got to change their minds. Literally, change their mind, change their mindset, change them in a way. That's a hard thing to do. Especially if you've been dating them or what. Yeah, you try and change your significant partner. No. Just lost all the couples. Whoever. I mean, but let's face it, by this point, there's probably just me and you who are listening back on this podcast. I'm not big time yet. presumptuous bastards, going off about how you gig and how you're bad at videography. Why don't you tell us on how you're scoring gigs? Or why don't you tell us about something more interesting that happened? Oh, all right. I'll tell you definitely something interesting. I'll say something interesting. I'll think of something interesting to say. The one thing that I did notice is that heading into the Raw competition, there are certain individuals who are actually fighting the urge to laugh. Like they're making an effort to resist laughing. It's like my set has become a no-laugh challenge to certain certain people and others as well. Not just me, but there are certain people who are going out of their way to resist the urge to laugh. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with the no laugh or smile challenge, they've got them on the internet, have on YouTube for ages, and just it's funny because they play the person trying not to react to certain YouTube content that was submitted and yada yada. Everybody does it. I'm looking to get my own out very shortly. No reaction challenge. That's what I called it. The ones on YouTube and that are strictly no smile or laugh challenge. Mine, I want to be, no reaction at all. To just stay stoic, to stay myself, the cynical maniacal prick that I am, to go unchanged and just have that content ready to go in the second quarter of the year, and that won't be up straight away because I got other stuff that I put on my YouTube channel right now, and that is going to have to play through obviously first. It'll have to play through and go its due course, and then it'll come through. Just be patient. Another thing about my stand-up highlights videos, it's obviously because the beginning, starting to get past number 10 and through from 10 to 20, which each highlight video, say for example, stand-up highlights 1. It's literally my first ever stand-up. Like for example, stand-up highlights 10. That was my 10th ever gig. And so we're now heading in, and the quality of it, I hope, definitely is, with regards to the viewer, hopefully they agree with this, that the quality is improving, that the comedy is getting better, and also my editing skills are getting much better as well with regards to editing videos. I do it all myself, except for some videography as well. I get my mommy to do that when she comes along to my gigs. Otherwise I just pawn the phone off to the most willing participants who I happen to know, or maybe I'll ask a favor of someone I don't, and then strike up a friendship with that person. That sort of thing. So I do produce my own content, original. Interesting thing did happen. I got a community strike for uploading an audio version of a live reaction video which I posted. It's rather weird. It's like, no warning, nothing, just, we removed this video and we're giving you a strike. But don't worry, it won't be for long. It'll be there for 3 months. And then it's like, what? It's like, yep, just a strike on your channel. If you get 2 more strikes, then your channel might be deleted. So, It's like, I haven't violated anything, at least not intentionally, and it's something that I had done before. I think what happened was because it's triggered their algorithm, because the title is the same for 2 different videos. Maybe I should have put in one audio version and another video version, because especially with YouTube Reds, there are people that are getting YouTube Reds and they want to hear music playing and stuff playing in the backgrounds while their phone is in lock mode or background mode, to play in the background. So I provided that version of content with that in mind, and then they come back and the algorithm, whatever, unless there is actually someone specifically who goes through every single submitted video and says nup or yep or nup, yep, nup, yep, nup, yep, nup, yep, nup. I mean, if there is, I mean, bloody oath, good for you. But if not, well, then screw the computer and screw the system. I mean, it's just bad YouTube, which this thing has gone on. But hey, you know what? It came without warning. It came without any freaking kind of warning whatsoever. I guess I should be more careful, but at the same time, it's like, don't do that to me. I'm not even a big-time YouTuber yet. Just lay off me for until I get like 1 million subscribers at least. I mean, I understand they've got a standard to upkeep and uphold, etc., but at the same time, it's like, you know, there are times where I know that other YouTubers as well have this, where it just just by using certain keywords and certain, I don't know, just bloody, because they're probably reacting to something or doing a review of something which is completely legal, but then, you know, because the YouTube algorithm, you know, strikes against them because, oh, you posted something, you know, let's say, for example, you know, wrestling is a common theme where it's like, you know, they do a wrestling review and it's like, oh, you know, oh, you uploaded something wrestling, you know, that's a strike, you know, and the video gets removed. It's like, hang on, no, that's not the actual video content, that's a review or, you know, commentary, which is completely legal, and then it just gets wiped and the video gets uploaded, but then the whole process behind that takes so long that, you know, by the time the person who allegedly made, you know, whether it's YouTube or whether it happens to be the organization in question, you know, it takes so long that by the time the content gets, you know, basically put back up, it's maybe a month or so later, and now you know, it's basically irrelevant now. You know, like, for example, because the video that I put up was actually wrestling related, and it was custom commentary for the New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 12, one of the main event features, which was Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega, which was a pretty good match. You know, not the best match ever, but it was a good match, and I was glad that I, you know, actually got to see it. I didn't do custom commentary on the rest of the show, just that show, just that match, because that was essentially a feature match that I was interested in, and fortunate enough to, I guess you could say, fortunate enough that I was able to watch that I decided to watch that. I don't know what I'm talking about. My goodness. Here's another little tidbit for you. I decided to go through the drive-thru on my drive home, and I think I got the ultimate FU from the drive-thru stuff. I got a meal with a Coke. I asked for Coke, no ice, and I think I got, because I know I got ice in it, but I got a Coke, no sugar, which is also known as a Coke Zero with no sugar, which is apparently much better for you, of course. But you know what? I wanted a Coke, no ice. Not a Coke with ice and no freaking sugar. Oh, God. I mean, that's what I get for going back through that drive-thru. It's an abusive relationship that people have with the drive-thru, don't you reckon? You know, you say you're never going to go back. You say that you're done, you're finished, it's over. You're never going back to that place, because that's a bad place. Nothing good comes out of it. And then you just start to crave, and you fold, you see it again, you're like, oh, maybe I'll give you one more chance, just one last chance. And maybe they're good to it for a while. Maybe they do everything you ask. Maybe they listen to you. Maybe they take care of your every want and need. But then eventually, they go back to the way things were before. Or maybe it's even worse. They'll screw up your burger. They'll mess up they won't fill up your drink. They'll, the soggy chips. Can you tell I'm sort of working on a bit? Not too bad, is it? Because it's based on real life experience. But it is pretty much like an abusive relationship. Like, has anyone seen the Domino's ads on Australian TV? If you haven't, they'll fill you in. Basically, in the beginning, it was like the CEO of Domino's was basically on TV, like, it's pretty much like, really sorry, our pizzas have improved, please come back, order Domino's. That's pretty much the general consensus of the ad was like, please give me another chance, Domino's. I'll be good this time. I'll be good. Please take me back, Domino's. One of the other things I've got to say definitely as well is that KFC, one of the observation I made about that, and a little snippet perhaps for a future routine as well. I'll work it in some way somehow, but hey, future content, here we go. Get a little bit of extra comedy with your routine. See? I give you some free samples from time to time. KFC, at least in Australia, at least, if you're not from Australia, well, listening from overseas, maybe you got the same thing. But essentially, Australian KFC always runs out of chicken. It's one of the only places that I've ever heard of that runs out of the very product that they're selling. That is their only product. And they run out of it regularly. It's like, don't you think that maybe next time you'd prepare in advance? I mean, do they have like a limit, like a quota? Because it's not like they're rationing the sources. Have you seen some of the people and the amount of, the amount of chicken that they order for just maybe one individual, just one family? It's not like they're rationing it anytime soon. But I digress. My goodness. Oh, god damn it. Yeah, this is definitely Coke Zero. I can't do this. I can't. I mean, it's like, sure, it's good for a diet, and it's good if you can't have sugar, but I mean, flavor without sugar or sugar without flavor should be illegal. I'm just going to say it. I love vanilla Coke. And I'm fond of Coke as well. It gives me that pickup, that sweet nectar. And keep you awake. Coke Zero. Ugh. Jesus Christ. I mean, call this defamation, but personally I just think it tastes like someone pissed in my goddamn Coke. Or as my dad used to say, it's like, it tastes like piss. And that's actually something, back when they came out with Pepsi Max back in the day. My father actually, because my mother bought it for us for the family, it's like, oh, it's Pepsi Max. And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's like it tastes like, it's like it tastes like piss. Like someone pissed in my, that's what he said. And then what he did was he actually went and got a couple of teaspoons of sugar, mixed it up into his Pepsi Max because he just thought it tasted that terrible. That's the opinion of a deceased person, by the way. So if anyone wants to, an opinion nonetheless, if anyone wants to come and say, oh, defamation, say it's an opinion. It's not going to affect your sales. It's good for you because there's no sugar. As a fitness specialist, currently non-practicing fitness specialist, but a fitness specialist nevertheless, it is the best thing for you compared to Coke, compared to Pepsi Max. Basically a sugarless drink is better for you than that by a long shot. I mean, the next best thing, obviously, and the more recommended would be water. But screw you guys. I don't like it. And, I know that's my opinion, but screw you guys. Personal perspective, I like these sugar drinks, these soft drinks, to have sugar in them. I think I'll close that right there because that's like, I'll take another sip. Oh, no. I can't do it. I can't do this. I'm probably gonna taste this nectarless sugar freaking. Oh, yeah. No. Oh, it's a podcast while I try and finish this meal that I'm about to have with this. Yeah. But anyway, thank you all for listening anyway. And if you like the content, obviously, like, share, and subscribe. And as always, my name is Liam, and I will see you guys next time.